Okay, so the next step once you have set your video parameters is outlier correction, or set your video parameters, imported your deep lab cut data, and imported your deep lab cut data is outlier correction. One thing to note is if your deep lab cut data has more body parts than your body part configuration for Simba, you're going to have to go in to your project folder, CSVs, and input CSVs, and then select this CSV that's in there. And manually, you can say don't convert, manually delete any columns. Let's say I didn't have the right mouth in my body part list. I would manually delete these columns and then save this CSV just exactly in the same location. Otherwise, this next step will not work if you have a mismatch in the number of body parts in your deep lab cut output and your body part list. So this next step is outlier correction. So there are two things that it's doing in outlier correction. One, it is correcting for significant changes in movement between frames. And then two, it's correcting for significant changes in location based off of other body parts that these two body parts you're looking at are where they're located. And so for me, you're probably going to want to choose body parts that are a little bit further away. So for me, I'm going to choose the left mouth and the right tip nose. And you're also going to want to choose body parts that are very consistently and accurately labeled by deep lab cut. And so you can just explore that in one of your deep lab cut CSVs and looking at that likelihood ratio and the number of XY points that you have. And I'm going to make my body parts for both movement correction and location correction. And for location correction, the Golden Lab recommends using a range from 0.7 to 1.5. And this is a pretty big distance for me, so I'm going to use 0.7. And again, what it's going to do is it's going to calculate the distance between the left mouth and the right tip nose for every single frame of my video. It's going to find that average value, and then it's going to multiply it by this location criteria under movement correction. And then location correction essentially compares the distance between that one body part and the body parts that are surrounding it. And again, this distance is going to be multiplied by this number. And so you might have body parts that are fairly far apart. And so their recommendation is to make this number that this average distance is being multiplied by at least 1.5. So I'm going to set that to 1.5 and this movement correction to 0.7. And they recommend using the mean of all of these distances over time. So the distance between the left mouth and the right tip nose, you can either find the mean of that distance over every frame, or you can find the median. So I'm going to just adjust this to be the mean and then confirm that as my settings. And then run my outlier correction. And so once I run outlier correction, I should get this notification that it's complete and saved. So now I can go into my project folder, logs, and I have, I've already done this. So I have some duplicates now, but here's my output for my outliers location for that video and the outliers movement. And this just shows you like essentially how many times they adjusted the so this is saying that 100% of my frames were correct, whereas the base tongue and the tip tongue, which aren't present in every frame, they made some more adjustments too. and they made some adjustments to the left front whisker tip. But generally, they didn't make a ton of adjustments to the points that Deep Lab Cut had put out. And similarly, you'll get that for the location correction. And I won't really open that right now, but it gives you similar output. And usually there's even fewer corrections in that because it corrects for movement first and then location. And then you can also see the corrected CSVs. I had a problem where I gave it 2 points initially that were very close together, and so it was essentially saying that all my other points were incorrect. And so it was removing a bunch of data points. So if you look at your if you look at your outlier corrected movement, this is now the CSV that Simba will be working off of. And so you just want to kind of make sure that there's still a lot of data points here. So you can kind of see how it corrected the movement. And I won't convert, and so I'm really just checking that there aren't like a billion zeros in this file, and it looks pretty good. If I just quickly scroll through it, it looks pretty similar to my original data. So I can close this now and return to Simba. So now if I want to create any ROIs, I can do that right now. And so here I'm going to select define ROIs, and this box will pop up that shows all of my video clips. I just have 2 right now. I'm going to select that first video clip and write draw. So this one has an ROI that I previously drew on it, and I actually want to delete this ROI. I'm going to redefine these. So down here under this draw tab, you can see select ROI. So I'm going to just make sure this rectangle spout is selected, and then I'm going to press delete ROI. So that ROI no longer exists here. I now want to select my shape, rectangle. I'm going to make a very similar ROI. Shape thickness, that's just the thickness of this rectangle. It only matters for visuals. Ear tag size are the little dots that you may or may not see. Because my shape and my ear tag size are the same, you will not see them. And those dots are just on each corner of the rectangle. And I'm going to again label this spout and select a draw. Now I'm going to go to my image, and I have this cross here, so I know I'm ready to draw. And just drag around the spout area that I'm interested in. And once I'm done drawing that, I'm going to press enter. So you can't even really see it here. Drag this down. So here's the save ROI data. If I'm going to create multiple ROIs, this interface can act up a lot, and it will just shut down the entire program on you. So it's safest to create one ROI, close out of the box, and then go back into that same video and draw again. And so this is the spout I just made, and now I'm just going to make another ROI here. I want to make one that's a different color. I'll make it maybe orange, and this is going to be called Lick. And I just prefer not to have spaces in my names. I don't know if that will affect things at a later time. And draw, and then I'm just going to draw the region I want for that lip lick. And select enter. And so I actually do want to move that shape. So I'm going to select move shape, and you click on the center of the shape to select it, and then you select where you want that center to be. So I'm gonna move it over there so it's just centered around the mouth. So I just made this green box for a lateral lick, and I want to duplicate that. So I'm gonna select that under this draw tab again and duplicate the ROI. And then I'm gonna select lateral lick copy 1 and move shape and select my ROI, and then where I want the center of that to be. Okay, that was a little off. So I'll just select move shape again, and again try and find where I want that center to be. And then I mislabeled some ROIs here. So I'm gonna go to left whiskers, change ROI, and then I'm gonna label it right whiskers and save that. Okay, so I've made all the ROIs that I want on this animal in this video. So I'm gonna close out of it, and then I'm gonna go to my other video. And now what's really neat is I can just apply shapes from another video, and this will ensure that my ROIs are staying consistent across videos, because I know my videos should really never be changing significantly. And if I ever need to like move the shape around to adjust to the animal's head position, I can very easily do that using that move shape button. And so once I apply those ROIs from the other video, I'll select save ROI and close that box. And then I can close this ROI table box, this other ROI box that was open. Simba loves opening new windows. And then you can standardize ROI sizes. So essentially that will just make sure that for each video my ROIs are the same pixels per millimeters. Based off of, I'll make this my reference video, and so I'm going to run that. It's important that if you're doing this, it will run it for all of your videos. So if you have videos from like one arena and then videos from a separate arena where animals are a different distance away, you might want to make sure that might do something funky to your ROI sizes. And you can always check back on your ROIs just by clicking on the Define ROI tab or button. And closing out of that. So if I now want to analyze my ROI data, I'll go to this Analyze ROI Data section. I'm going to confirm that I only have one animal in the video and which body part I want it to detect. So I'm going to look for it to detect tip tongue. And you're going to keep your probability threshold at 0 if you are confident with your deep lab cut data. If you want to compute distances moved within the ROI, you can select that. I don't really need to know that. And so I'm going to select run for this. And then that will pop up. Now, if I look at my Simba's main page, down here it says ROI and ROI entry saved in the path that it's saved in, or I guess everywhere from this analyzing ROI data to down here if you are running that detailed analysis. We have found that if you run the detailed analysis on just one animal, it will not give you the detailed ROI data. It will just give you the other ROI data. So if you're not finding all of the Excel files that you should be, that might be a reason. It will, so you can see I've created this multiple times. It will create a new one each time you did it kind of within reason if it's a few minutes apart. So I can open this up, and this will show me the start and end frames that the tip tongue entered those regions of interest. It will do it for every ROI region, so I don't ever expect my tip tongue to be entering my whisker areas, but it will be looking for that. However, it will only tell me when the tip tongue entered the spout ROI or the lip lick ROI region, um, or the lateral lick region. Oh, I guess at some points it entered the whisker region. So those were probably errors in the deep lab cut training. So it's important to look back through this and kind of see where it's detecting the body parts in which regions, because I shouldn't be getting any in those whisker regions. And then I can minimize that and visualize that ROI tracking data. So if you're confused on some of the data that's being presented in that detailed ROI, you might visualize it. And this will take longer. I have just a very short clip, so it won't take too long, but if you have like a full trial, this will take a while for it to go through every single frame. So my video will be stored in my project folder and then frames output of each ROI region, the number of times spent in that region for the body part, the tip tongue, and the number of entries. And so now you can see the lip lick entries increased, the spout entries increased, and I have times for both of those. You can also analyze distances or velocities aggregates, and so I'm curious about looking at the whisker movement in here. So I'm going to select left back, whisk mid, and then not going to change that probability threshold, and select run. And so it has completed that, and I can look at this movement log.csv. So if I go into my project folder, logs, movement log. And this can be helpful for you if you're trying to track the distance that an animal's moved. Suppose it will be more helpful for that. It is just giving me the distance and the velocity for each video. It might be that if I analyze the distance or velocity in time bins, that will be more helpful for me. So if I'm looking at, maybe look at left back whisk tip, and create a plot in my time bin size. I want to be, let's see, whiskers can move at up to 30 hertz. So I'm going to do 1 second over 30 is 0.03. So I'm going to try a 0.05 time bin and run that. And it has created time bin plots. Okay, so this gives me the amount of movement and the velocity of the whisker left back whisk tip for each time bin. And you can do that for the other ROI data as well in terms of getting it into time bins. I can create a path plot as well. So this might be more helpful in me trying to find out the whisker movement. So I'm going to select that body part again, left back wisp base. Background color can remain white. I'll make the line color indigo to match the ROI box. The line thickness can be 1. I'll make the circle a little smaller. And then select run. So this again is going to run through every single frame. So if you have a longer video, this could take longer. Okay, and now I'm going to look at folder frames, project folder frames, output, path plots. Project folder. So now I can see the movement of that little whisker.